Well, hello, my people. This is Lily, and I am the host of the FTN Podcast. FTN standing for Femme, Trans, and Noir, which represents pretty much everything that I am. No, I'm lying. Not everything. Maybe the social political aspect of my identity. And that really means black trans woman. I hope y'all are doing good. Over here, I'm super excited because I have my first guest on the podcast, and she's super funny. She has tons of stories, like really, and she's very inspiring, and I really love her. And it's Diamond Stylz, the host and creator of Marsha's Plate. That I'm sure you know Marsha's Plate. It's an amazing podcast with a trio of trans people, black trans people specifically. You have Diamond, who's the creator. You have Mia, who's been there from the very beginning. There used to be Z, who retired from the podcast, and now there's Jonathan, who is a trans man. And yeah, go listen to them. They're absolutely, uh, they, I was gonna say adorable, but what I really want to say is like you connect to them, like you feel like you you're eavesdropping on a discussion with friends, or these discussions sound like the discussions you're having with your own friends if you are a part of the trans community, and they all have different perspectives and um, different stories. So it's really interesting. I mean, you have to check them out. I'll definitely leave a link in the description, or the stuff down there somewhere, wherever you're listening to this. Yeah, let's get to it. Okay, before we get to the interview, I have to say this. I would appreciate it so much if you could leave a review. It doesn't take a long time. Whichever platform you're on, I don't know, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify. Um, yeah, I mean, the podcast is pretty much everywhere. But yeah, leave a 5-star review. Let me know how you're enjoying this, and share this with friends. That helps a lot. Like that helps tremendously, and it's free. And if you want to support, if you have some coins, I mean, I'm not saying no to coins. Um, you can just go to the website, and that's www.ftnpod.com. You have a donate button at the top, and you can choose your donation method of choice, whichever works for you. You can do a one-time donation, or you can also become a patron on Patreon, and it starts at $2 a month. Just $2, baby. You already know. You already know. Um, just go and check it out. You'll see all the perks. Oh, one big perk though for this specific episode is you will have the full interview on Patreon. It's a longer episode, like I said, um, but you have the full thing on Patreon with Diamond and myself. We're talking about choosing queerness. Oh, it doesn't mean what you think. Just listen. Just I promise you, it's not what you think. But yeah, and fighting Bowser too, like in your teens. It's all of that good stuff. Some of it you will hear over here, and the full thing you'll get on Patreon. So join me on Patreon. This will be for everybody on Patreon. There's no like at $2. It's you get it. All right. Um, Thank you so much, and yeah, have fun listening to this interview. Hey, Diamond.
Hey.
I'm really happy to have you. Like, when I started this podcast, there are two people I really wanted to have on the show. Do I call it a show? Let me call it a show.
Yes. Yes.
So there are two people, and you're one of them.
Oh.
Do I say the name of the other one? I don't know.
Yeah.
Today's you.
Manifest it. Who was the other one?
It's Angelica Ross.
Oh, I love Angelica. Angelica's dope.
Yeah, she is. She really is. So, like, it was the two of you. Like, I really wanted to talk to you. And I don't like I got so many lessons from you.
Oh, thank
From you
you. I
alone.
appreciate that.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's just the truth. From just learning different perspectives. I mean, I'm gonna be real. I don't always agree with you,
That's
but
true.
it's like, oh, it's like, okay, okay, so this is this perspective from that other, experience
Yeah.
also, right? We're not from the same country. We didn't grow up, different kinds of family dynamics. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right,
And
that
that's
makes
what learning is
sense.
about. It's about
Yeah,
not necessarily changing your mind, because a lot of stuff that we talk about is politics and culture, and it's not really about a yes or no. It's about, oh, this is how I feel about it, but this is how this person feels about it. It's not really a right or wrong thing. It's just that, oh, this is a different perspective, like you said. Yeah,
yeah, and I love that. I
yeah, me
love
too.
it.
Long as your
uh,
perspective is not trying to kill me or not trying to because some people be like, my opinion is, and I'm like, no, your opinion is harmful to me. It's sending me to my
yeah.
grave. But just having a difference of opinion is not really an issue for me.
Okay, I'm gonna get a little weird here, but like when, like 50 years from now,
Uh-huh.
what do we say about Diamond Style?
What do we say about Diamond Stylz? God, Diamond was a badass bitch. She
Oof.
was she was a staunch supporter of women of all kinds, of all identities. She was a fighter. She was a lover. She was a sister. She was a daughter. She was just avid about social justice. I think I'm somebody. I think that's what some I want people to say about me, and that her legacy still lives on. I want. She's an archivist, historian. I like to archive
Right.
trans experience and trans people in all walks of life. But particularly, I don't mind all walks of life, but particularly things that affect Black trans people. Yeah, I just want to be seen as somebody who loves her community, whatever demographic they may be, whether it be Black people, whether it be women, whether it be LGBT in the sense of like the broader gay queer community, and trans and in the trans film. I love all the identities that I'm a part of, all the demographics. I love that, even as shitty as it may be, American. I love being all of those things. And so because I know the history that comes along with my people with this land. And so yeah, that's what I want to be want people to say about me. That's I love my community. I'm a community ass
Yeah.
bitch.
Yeah. And that's really, I want to know like what activated you, because like you're active in so many things, whether it's direct aid to Black trans folks like on the ground, um, trying to get people fed, trying to get
And
grants,
housed, yeah.
to, yeah, to get people fed and housed, um, whether it's oh, see, you did also something when you were younger, when you
Mm,
sued your high school for prom, right?
I
I
did First
imagine that
Amendment
paved the
rights.
way, right?
You know, that's the first national thing. I've done
Okay.
more things, but that was the
Yes.
first. As far as like that was the first national thing. Prior to that, I had done I was the first trans person to go to my school, period, to go to my school in openly in that regards. Also, junior high, it just was a bunch of things that I was groundbreaking in the sense. I guess that's the first national, the one that made the most national headlines at the time in '99. Yeah,
So, what would be the thing that you say
activated me.
activated you?
I know the exact moment that I fell in love with my community, and it didn't have anything to do with activism. It just had something to do with recognizing that this is what I chose, and not in the sense that I don't think I was born trans or born queer, in the sense of I could have not been open about this. I could have been trying to hide it like so many other people do. But when you choose to be in this community and make the active decision that this is my new tribe, because when you're born, you are part of tribes that you automatically are part of. Like, I'm a part of being black. I'm a part of, these things that you don't feel like you had a choice in at all.
Mhm.
But a choice to participate in. So I want to make it very clear. I'm totally not saying that people are not born queer, but once you realize you are, you make an active choice to participate in the culture of queerness, participate in the culture of being trans or being gay or being whatever, whatever identity. So you make a clear conscience because you could easily be, honey, waiting to like Caitlyn Jenner, waiting until you're 70 to come out. You can
Yeah.
easily do that, but making the conscious decision to actually be a part of that, and I know exactly when it was. So I was about 14, and I had already affirmed in my own mind that okay, I'm going to transition about a couple of years before this. So in the sense of living my life as a girl and figuring out how I can do that and saying what's the process. So growing my hair out, growing my nails out, clothes getting tighter because I was easing people into it. It wasn't like I was like, hi, I'm out. It wasn't that. It was like I'm gonna try to grow my hair out because I lived in Indiana. So the things that you can do in like major cities, you can't do that in Indiana because it's a small city. It's not like a country town, but it's a city, but it's small. And so how cisgender women perform their gender is really kind of plain Jane, and so you can't be
Mhm.
having long titties boosted up and long hair and lashes and a ton of makeup because you're gonna instantly get clocked. And the name of the game when I was growing up is to assimilate and be blend. And so, 2 years before this moment that I'm about to explain, why I'm taking forever to say it, I had already decided that I'm gonna be a girl now. So this is about 2 years in. I was about 14, about a year and a half, and I finally got to sneak into this gay club, and
Mhm.
they usually wouldn't let us in because we looked like we were damn 14. but
Yes.
but there was this girl that sometimes, if she was working the door, it was an older trans white woman. If she was working the door, she will say, y'all can come in, but y'all don't go to that damn bar. Don't go nowhere near the bar. Y'all can just come in and dance and have fun. But y'all don't be smoking and y'all don't be at that bar. And she would let us sneak in. And so the very first time that she let us sneak in, I come in there, and it's of course you're gonna see the quintessential rainbow stuff around, and
Naturally.
exactly, and you come in, and this is in the '90s, so people were still able to smoke in facilities, and
Mhm.
so it is of it's like smoke around. It is the lighting is dim. You still can see stuff, but it's dim and sexy, kind of like a date night. And so you go in. Me and my homegirls went in, and they started playing this song called by Big Sister called "Round and Round." You spin me round and round, and it's an old classic '90s song. and you spin me round and round. Oop. And it's real fast beat. And they play the song. Well, not initially. We kind of just chilling and they kind of just playing different little songs. But when they put that song on, for whatever reason, it reminded me of church, like because I grew up in a church too. For whatever reason, when that song came on, it's kind of like when you in church, and I don't know if what kind of church you go to, but did you have you ever went to church? Did you grow up in the church?
Yeah, Catholic.
Oh, okay, no, yeah, this same
So
experience.
very different.
So
Extremely
I
different.
grew up in a Kojic church, so you know the clapping your hands, stomping your feet, holy dancing, and all that kind of stuff, praise dancing, all that kind of stuff.
On the hibibiya,
Yeah,
shata.
oh, shut up, yes. So I grew up in that kind of church, and so there's certain chords that the organist will play, and it's like doom 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 doom. Then the beat will come on, and soon as that happened, honey, everybody will get to bumping, praise dancing, and when that song in the gay club came on, everybody's body reacted in some kind of way, whether they clapped or hollered, oh yes, or something. They did something that's made it gave them a physical reaction, and everybody, no matter what was going on, whether they had been arguing before, laughing before, everybody went to the dance floor, and smoke was moving, and they had laser lights in there, and it was the laser lights was busting through the smoke, and you can
To the
see
smoke.
the smoke just
Yeah.
going through, and everybody like I don't know, like driftwood was just swirling around the room, dancing and spinning, because the song is called "You Spin Me Round and Round," and they're just spinning and twirling. And my friend grabbed my hand and said, "Come on!" and grabbed me. I'm getting tears, I'm getting emotional because I remember the feeling of freedom.
Mhm.
Like I have found my people. Everybody in here is gay as hell, whether it be from the masculine and of lesbians that was there, or to the faggoty of fags that was there. We was just there, and we got in, and everybody was just twirling and just being free. And in that moment, I said to myself, I was like, I just don't ever want to not be gay. And I had never said
Mm.
that. I grew up praying on my knees saying, please, God, don't make me gay. Please, can you take this away from me? God, can you please not make me gay? I don't want to go to hell. I literally remember praying because that's what they told me to do, to pray it away. And in this moment, I realized, yo, I don't ever want to not be gay. And, I didn't have the language of trans at the time because I was 14. So I didn't
14.
know, I didn't know the nuances of this is gay, this is trans, da, da, da. But when I said gay in that moment, it meant I didn't want to not be a part of whatever this tribe right here is. Whatever
Yeah,
this
whatever was going
queerness,
on there.
whatever's going on here, I don't not want to not be it ever. And yeah, and that activated me to be proud. That was my pride, my life pride moment, where I knew whatever happened for the rest of my life, I'm going to be connected to this, whatever this may be. And yeah, it has transformed into, oh, I'm this transgender woman and da 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 da. But
Hmm.
that was all. When I say gay, I mean LGBTQ, the whole letter
The whole
acronym, and
umbrella.
the whole umbrella. So yeah, that was my moment where it activated me to be proud and know that this was my community and it need to be protected.
That's beautiful. That's like it's almost like a spiritual experience, like,
It
that
was.
rooted you in the community.
Yes, it
I love
was.
that.
That was my activation story in the sense of pride of my people and my tribe. But when I felt like an activist was at
Hmm.
Jackson State University. So when I sued my high school, I just got to be honest, I didn't feel like an activist. I felt like a person being bullied, and I'm just in a corner and I'm fighting back. I was being bullied by a staff member, which was my principal, who was telling me that I couldn't go to the prom in a gown. And I felt helpless because my mother was in the midst of her addiction. I didn't have any kind of advocate. There was no kind of adult advocate for me to help advocate for me because nobody fucked with me because I was trans. Everybody was like, you shouldn't be doing that. Like this is all these problems you're having is because you're being this trans thing. When if you was just be a boy, you wouldn't be having these issues. So why are you doing
Mm.
this? If you want that stuff to stop, just be a boy. Just be a boy. And I'm like, I'm not a fucking boy. Like, I don't understand why what y'all not get it. And so in that moment of my life, I didn't have any advocates. So I had to self-advocate. And I was in a moment where I was in that moment where she told me I couldn't go to the prom. I didn't know what else to do. In my heart of hearts, I felt it was wrong. But I
Yeah.
didn't know what action. This is my principal of the school. She is the authority. It's not like a teacher. At least a teacher, you could be like, I'm gonna go to the principal's office to tell her that you did this, or go here. You're the principal. So I felt powerless. And but what does an animal do when they're in the corner and they fight?
The
They,
attack.
they attack.
Mm.
However they can do, they attack. And that's what it was. People started to throw me lifelines, and somebody told me to about the ACLU, and they took my case for free, and I called the news, and it just was this snowball of things that I didn't plan. It just was, I'm just doing whatever I can to fight this. And so it didn't feel necessarily like an activist kind of moment. It felt like I was finally, like I have been fighting my bullies for years, but this is like the end of this level boss bully. If any
This
gamer
is
like,
Bowser.
yeah, this is Bowser. That's what it felt like. This is end of high school. This is the last level of this stage of my life, and this is Bowser. That's literally what it felt like. I was being bullied, and I needed to fight Bowser. And so there was these ways of fighting him, and yeah, and I won. But once I got to college, that's when it felt like where the light of activism was like, oh, I can make a change in this institution. So when I went to college, I was, I had been trans all my high school by that point. So being trans wasn't new to me. It was new to Mississippi.
Mm.
So Mississippi, Jackson, super, super conservative, down south state and city. And there had never been a trans person to go to Jackson State openly. And so there was a trans girl who had been there maybe a year and a half before me, and she got kicked out. One, she didn't get kicked out. She left when she got exposed.
Oh.
She wanted to be stealth, and when she wasn't stealth, she left. And so, but I'm walking around and I'm realizing that this place is backwards. And usually, it's the cishet boys that are being shady to me. But in this moment, everybody was. Like, I would come in the cafeteria, the gays wouldn't come sit with me. The women, the cisgender girls, they wouldn't come sit with me. Like, it was like everybody ostracized me. At least I could find a couple of cisgender girls that I could be cool with in my younger
Yeah.
years. So I never had experienced this type of ostracization. And so eventually I was like, oh, I'm making a difference here. Like, instead of it turning into a depression or like, oh my God, I'm so sad I don't have any friends, it was, oh, I'm breaking this up. Cool. That's what we on. I'm about to show y'all how I don't give a fuck. I done dealt through all the negative. I done dealt with that I done sued my high school and won. Y'all think I'm gonna come to this country, motherfucker, and feel weak? The fuck out of here. No. I'm coming and I'm gonna be the baddest bitch y'all know, because I knew I had the look, I knew I had fashion, I knew that I was a good student, I was intelligent, so I'm gonna try to be the best at everything. So let me come in here and wear it out. And that's what it was. And people would start calling me the ambassador of the gays. Just as that, it started off as like a shady statement, but for me, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I can be that. Like, if
Thank
I'm
you.
that's cute to me. I could be an ambassador to the gays. Y'all know we here, and motherfuckers ain't got to be scared. By the time I had to leave school, I had so many gays that were like, I came to this school because I heard you were here. They had told me
Oh,
that you couldn't be queer at Jackson State because people had got attacked and stuff. But once they told me you were here, I came, and people hit me up to this day saying you were like a beacon of light. We knew we could be powerful. We knew we can be ourselves without lying about it. Once we saw you on campus,
that's amazing.
that activated me. That's what for me. That's what said reflected inside of me that, oh, you can have an impact on your surroundings. Yeah, and that's what activated me.
I love it. Thank you. Thanks for sharing this.
Thank you.
Uh, I'd like to know, like at that time, what was the role that community and friendships that played for you? Like, did you get support like outside at least of college? In the trans community, do you have friends? Like, you did it all on your own?
No. Yeah, I in high school I had friends, not in college. In high school I had close friends, like a trans homegirl, Ty. She's been on my show. Marsha's played for a few times. I had friends in high school, but in college I was alone. It was one of the hardest times of my life in my adult years. One of the hardest time in my adult years. Yeah.
So, so how did you recharge?
Gosh, during those years, I was just kind of struggling. I can't even tell you that I had some kind of plan or some type of self care. I didn't know all about that shit. I had been dealing with my mother's addiction since I was 11. So we were going through that whole stuff all my life. So by the time I get to 19, 20 college years, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what my strategy of stress was or dealing with stress, but it was there because I was just dealing with it. Also feel like I'm a Pisces, and I don't know if people believe in astrologies, but I don't want to say I believe in it, but it explains some things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm the type of person that I'm dreamy. So once I set my focus on a dream of what I want to accomplish, I'm just gonna live in that dream. I'm gonna live in that fantasy world. Oh, yeah, I'm a bad bitch, and y'all gonna see I'm a bad bitch. So it's not gonna be y'all ain't gonna stress me out and make me feel late and tired. I'm a bad bitch in this motherfucker, so I'm gonna do it. And so I just started to live in that kind of manifestation while I was in school, and I get my charge was men. My charge was turning out boys. My charge
Mm-hmm.
was I started to have good home girls. It did not in my freshman year, but by the time we get to sophomore year and people start to see how ridiculous they were, I started to get better friends. Um, and so I kind of grew in that kind of way. Um, I had an Aunt Georgia. So a lot of people who were helping me, they weren't helping me like out of the kindness of their heart. They were helping me to gain
What do you mean?
something. To gain something.
Yeah.
Like, whether it be like I had an Aunt Georgia, she only helped me because I was a good babysitter to her children when she needed to be free.
Okay.
Um, dude, sometimes the very first, we might talk about it later, but I got into sex work, and the very first trick I ever turned was in college when I just didn't have any money. I didn't have any money, and I needed to food, and I hadn't got my return my what is it refund from the student loans, and so I was broke, and he hit me up at the right time. I was trying to avoid sex work because I come from church, and so my mindset about sex work was nowhere near evolved. And so I was like, "Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of women are prostitutes?" I was that type of person, but life
I
comes at you
understand.
fast. Life comes at you fast. So in that moment, I was like, "Honey, I got to be like, honey, what Ronnie say from Players Club? Honey, use what you got to get what you want, or yeah, you got to use what you got to get what you want,
I like that. Yes.
something like that." And so he was thirst trapping me, like not thirst trapping me, but really chasing me really hard. He was an older dude. He had to be like in his 40s, and I'm like 19. And he used to come up to the school and try to solicit me. And I would be like, no, motherfucker, I'm not a prostitute. But honey, that day, I guess I was hungry, child.
No.
And went to see him. It was the easiest trick that I had ever turned. One of them. And made that money. And yeah, I didn't have, so basically I'm saying all this because I did not have a support system, and I did not have anything to recharge myself, or the mental tools that I have now for myself to recharge myself. I just was kind of winging it, child.
I see. Just like, even though we have a very different story, I see some parallels. I did transition when I was in college,
Mhm.
but also, I mean, I don't mean to brag, but I was the best. So, I mean, even the professors had to like,
Come
what are you gonna
together.
say?
I had that
Like,
moment too.
it's just, I had to. There's one professor I had to check, like,
Same.
live during class, like, twice.
I didn't have to check him like direct verbal checking. He actually checked his motherfucking self, because
Mm.
he was, first of all, he was trying to dead name me, and I had changed my name in a way that was it wasn't Diamond. I had changed it to, it was very similar to my dead name. Now, my dead name is not something that's like Lawrence. It's a very unisex name. Like, actually, in the South, it's very common for women to have this name, but in the North, it's common for men. So it just depends. But anyway, I had changed it to something that looks similar, but way more feminine. And so he was still trying to call me my old name, because you could see my old name in there. And so he was still, during the roll call, try to call me my old name and call me the wrong pronouns and blah, blah, blah. When he's doing the little attendance call. But every test that we would take, I would ace it. Anything that we would do as far as work, I would kill it. So I would always be on the list. And every time I would be on the list of, because what he would do, he would kind of a list of the top 5 percentages, whoever the top 5 people who are percentages in that particular class, he will do that because he felt like that was a way to motivate people to compete. He was a man, so he thinks into sports, so he think everything was competition. So I was always in the top 5, if not the top. And so it got to the point where I was always a top. Always. And so for whatever reason, one day we came in, and the dudes, the cishet dudes, students, they were acting rowdy. I don't know what was happening, but that day they just were being rowdy, laughing and cussing and just being badass, not kids, because we weren't kids, but young adults. And he got up from the seat and started going off. And in the midst of his going off, he says, the only motherfucker in here that's doing their work the way they're supposed to do is, and he made this little gesture because he didn't want to say miss. He didn't want to say she. He didn't want to acknowledge me. But you have to, motherfucker. But you have to. And I say, and I was like, my name is Diamond. I know you don't want to say my name, and I know you don't want to call me a girl. I know you don't want to do all of that, but I am here. I'm going to be here. It is not going to change. And so you might as well just say it. My name is Diamond. And he says, Miss Diamond, that's the only one paying attention to in my class.
It's so weird, because while this person is trying to praise you, they don't want to acknowledge you. There's some weirdness in there.
There's some weirdness. It's like you're forcing them. That, and I've been in that situation multiple times where it's almost like they feel like you're forcing them to go along with your delusion. And I've heard people like them say that. It's like you're forcing me to go along with my delusion, but I don't care. I don't really care. You're going to acknowledge me because and also another element that I used to wear him out is I am a very history buff. Like, I like history. I just like reading about how people lived in the past. And so the shit that he was teaching me, I also had more context because I came up, although I grew up in a group home, they let me do stuff that most kids did. A lot of kids didn't do. So I was a part of in Indianapolis. It was this Ashante's Children's Theater, and this is where all the woke Black people were. So I grew up in the church Christian, that kind of regular, respectability politics kind of Black people. But in this space, it was the Muslims. I didn't know a lot of Muslim Black people, even though it was tons, but because I grew up on the Christian side, we didn't fuck with them. And so this was the Muslim people. This was the Black people with the dreads. This was the Black people with hair wraps, African.
The
Hoteps, baby. The Hoteps. And so they would give me books. Like, I would learn books. I learned about just all kinds of, history and education, and just more than what he was teaching. And I was able to bring that to the table and talk about it. And there was a lot of times where I wouldn't be making him look stupid. I just would be making him, I knew something that he didn't know. And he would have to go look it up and come back to the class the next time and say, you know what? He would detonate me at this time. You know what? Mr. You were right. This was and you can tell that it annoyed him that I was right. But at this moment, the story that I'm telling you now, at this moment, after this, he never misgendered me no more. After this situation where I was like, my name is Diamond. You can just call me Diamond. You don't have to. I know you feel like it's something wrong with calling me Diamond, but that's my name.
And it also feels like extra work trying to not acknowledge you. It's stupid.
It's stupid.
At what point did community life start to happen for you? Like, and not just community, but really like friendships with other trans folks.
Oh, that happened. One of my best friends transitioned with me. So that happened at 12. Yeah. So I was lucky in the sense of having another trans person in my vicinity. And so her name is Ty. Her name is if you go back to my old videos, we used to do old videos called In Trans Heart back in like 2008, 2009. And we just would talk about our journey and different tips on transitioning that we had at the time. And so we met in a group home. Her mother had an addiction too. And so we were in this program in Indiana called CHINS, and children of neglected homes, something like that. It was called CHINS or whatever. And we met in a group home, and she's the first person in my life that I could say without any hesitation, I'm gay. Any hesitation. And she said, me too. I like boys. Me too. What boys do you like? Oh, I love this one. I love this one. He's so cute and he's so tall. You see his smile? And we immediately connected on that level. Where I had met other gay boys, but they were hiding it. It was a secret. Trying to sneak and have me in the closet somewhere. But this was the first person that we knew, for whatever reason, we're not meant to have each other. We're meant to be sisters. It felt like, it didn't feel like a sexual attraction. It felt like just a kindred spirit. And we would dance, we would dress up, and we knew that we were supposed to be girls. And so we would go to stores and steal clothes together. If I'm at a store and I see us, ooh, it's hot, honey, I can steal a lot of shit from here. I would steal her shit, steal her shoes. If I stole me something, I sold something for her. And we would sneak to the club, sneak out the window of the group home, and sneak and ride the bus or hitchhike to the club, to the
Oh
gay
my
club, to
God.
downtown, hopping in cars with men because we was hot young girls, honey, and ride the car to the gay club and then hitchhike back to the and sneak into the window of the group home. We would do that all the time, and so that was my first, not my first queer friend, but my first trans friend. I had met other trans people, but we all met at around the same time. Like it was ironic. This summer, the summer between junior high and well, really this summer in between eighth grade, seventh and eighth grade. Um, once I got to eighth grade, I was like, oh, I'm about to be a girl when I go to high school. So that summer before high school, that's when I said, oh,
Mhm.
this is when the stuff is about to start happening, hit the fan. And because everybody ain't there is going to be new and not used to me. Here, they used to my old name and da da da. At least I can come here and do some things. And so, my friend, we just would be living, and that's the first time that I was like, okay, I have a queer friend, and I know now that I'm grown and I hear other people's story of loneliness when they growing up because they felt like they was the only one and da 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 da. I realized that I was lucky in that sense because we got silicone together. We got we did all the negative stuff. We got in escorting together. It just was a bunch of stuff that I didn't have to go through alone. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's super important. Yeah, that's
yeah.
great.
And then and then I started to get other friends. Once that happened, what I was telling you earlier about being in the club and was like, this is my community. I started to get other friends, other gay male friends, lesbian friends. Like in high school, I had a whole clique of lesbians that I hung out with. A whole clique. It just was, and I was the only trans girl in the clique. And so many studs and other trans people, other gay people. It just was. That's when I started to feel that bite. Oh, I'm in a community. This is fun. It didn't have anything to do with activism. It just had something to do with. Oh, I mean, this is my. I'm gay. In the gay community. I'm queer and
With the
proud.
chosen
Yeah,
family. Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Facts.
get that.
Hey y'all, at this moment in the original discussion, Diamond and I are talking about community building and the intentionality behind that, but also sisterhood among other Black trans women. And I think that's a very important conversation to have. I cut it here because, the the podcast is getting long, but you can find it on my Patreon at patreon.com/FTN Pod. You can have the full long version of this interview. And that plus other stuff, because we're also talking about Blackness in Paris. Yeah, join me there. And you don't have to subscribe to the like top tier um, level of the Patreon. You can just, any patron can have access to this full conversation. See you right there.
What do you have going on right now?
Oh God. So in November, I released. I was a part of a project where we studied and created a database on trans homicides. I worked with Insider Investigative Team, and we went for the past 5 years and dug through all the cases in the United States of trans women who have been murdered and created a database around, what was, the leading cause of death, what was the, location, all the data points that you need to talk about it, but also not only the the victims, but also the people who murdered, the people who actually committed the crime, and the
Mhm.
justice system, and what was the outcomes, like who got convicted and who didn't get convicted. And so we released our data in November, and we have been receiving so many awards. We received the Sydney Award in journalism. We recently were nominated for a SWAPS award in journalism, and we have been just receiving so many positive praises for actual data, because people have been saying, oh, the transgender people are tricking people, the transgender people are sex workers, so that's why they have a higher rate of getting murdered, all these kind of silly excuses. But now we have the data to prove what we have been knowing in the community for a long time. Most of the people that are harming us, our numbers align with cisgender women, and it's usually people in our community, people, our lovers, our intimate partner. So we are victims more to intimate partner violence, and also police. So if a trans person is murdered, it is usually our intimate partner or police officers. Also, in regards to, and because it's predominantly Black trans women, dark-skinned Black trans women, and it is because, I want this to be very clear, it's proximity, because most of the white trans women that were murdered by white trans people. I mean, white cis people. And most of the Latinx victims, they were murdered by Latinx people, because we're in community with these people. Another element is that a surprising thing is, if the victim is white, they have a higher conviction rate for their murderer. So the justice system is fucking racist, because they are convicting more of the white killers than they are convicting our killers as Black people.
It parallels the for cis cases, right? Like, if the victim is white, then
right, they get more convictions.
Get more convictions.
Exactly.
Yeah. So is the database that you worked on, is it accessible by the public?
Oh, absolutely. I can send you the link if you want to see it.
Oh, great. Yeah. I'll have it in the show notes. And I did see that you had like 3 cases reopened.
Yes. So recently we had I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
So because of our investigations, so we really we call family, we call police stations, we sued some police stations to get them to release their information to us. Like we were digging. They gave us some money. So they put some labor, and it was all around the country. And because of our investigations and stuff that we found, which another element that we released is that police negligence was another part of why we weren't getting convictions. They wouldn't care about us, and so they wouldn't be doing a diligent job in getting our justice. And so it would be stuff that we're finding, and we're not even real detectives. Like, we're not in the police department, but we're finding clues and uncovering facts and truths that will help with the case.
Wow.
And we're not even police officers or detectives. And so because we're finding these facts and proof, I want to say we forced, but we pushed with the pressure of the public. We pushed 3 cases to be reopened. 1, we got an indictment. And 2, we got them to be reopened and reinvestigated because we found new facts. And so I thought it's powerful news for me, because, I want these trans girls to get their justice. I want whoever murdered them to come to justice. And so a hit and run case in LA, a murder case in San Antonio, and a case in Alabama. Yes. In Mobile, Alabama.
Oh.
And so yeah.
Oh, in Mobile. Okay.
In Mobile, yeah. So I worked on that in November, and so now we are seeing the positive engagement with those type of those cases. In April, we finally, after COVID had stopped us for 3 years, we are actually bringing our conference, our Black Trans Conference, a Black Trans Advocacy Conference, back this year in April. So Yes, and so we haven't been able
Yes.
to convene because of we this is our 10-year anniversary, and we haven't been able to convene because of COVID, but now that COVID is quote unquote behind us. We are opening back up. So from the 24th to the 30th, we have a conference and so many people come. So I know y'all, it's probably too late to do it this year, but next year, if y'all are wanting to take a trip and be in community with a bunch of trans people, this is the perfect time to do it. It's a perfect. So
Yes.
next year, we have it every year at the end of April, last week of April. And it is just a beautiful experience. We have, like, if you didn't get to go to your prom in high school, we have a formal event called the awards gala, where we give out awards to people all across the country for their activism. We also have a family day where we do we rent out a private ranch where it's gonna be nothing but us there. And it's a pool. We play kickball, we play spades, we play dominoes, we play all the fun Black American culture stuff on this private ranch. We got animals there. It's animals, horses, cows. We got all. It's a ranch, and so it's just a fun. We barbecue. We have mac and cheese, sausage, just barbecue. It's just a fun family time, and so we have that on Saturday. We have Trans Manifest, which is like a talent show where if you do any kind of talent, sing, rap, whatever, you come and do a talent show. We have a ball. This year's theme is the Wiz, the Black version of the Wizard of Oz. So we have a ball happening, and we have a pageant. And so all of this happens in this 1 week. And also we have workshops where our Empower Her workshop is what I run. And basically it's when all of the trans women come together and we do like a workshop around, this year is going to be around sisterhood as a pathway to liberation. And so that's my theme this year, and it'll be the first theme that I have. And so, yeah, it's going to be so dope and fire.
Are you gonna have are you gonna record the workshops
We
and make them
cannot
available?
record because I'm gonna have a version for online. Actually, I already have some of the videos up. So recently in September, I took a group of 16 women, 12 women, not 16, 12 women to Hawaii, and 6 cis women and 6 trans women. And we recorded some content around building sisterhood between cis and trans people. And I recorded it, and I'm going to show it at the empowerment workshop at the conference. I'm going to reveal it. If you are a listener of my YouTube, or you're a member of my YouTube, I have the videos behind a paywall because I did spend some money to make them. So I'm trying to make sure I balance that out. But we have great conversations with cis and trans women, positive conversation, no kind of negative going back and forth, silly shit like that. Because of my intention is to build, like I said, sisterhood, using sisterhood as a tool to liberation. And so that sisterhood includes trans women, cis women, lesbians, whoever. If you are a woman or a female body person, a trans person, anybody that's on the femme side of things, trans femme or cis femme, that I'm trying to build community in that space. And so we have it there. So I'll have a version to record, but because we like to respect people's privacy and we want to make sure that the Stealth Girls come and they're not worried about getting recorded and we can't really record in the private sessions, because we like to respect the sacredness of that space, and the privacy of that space. And so we won't be able to record, but I will have a version for people to kind of engage with on my YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to think of what else. But yeah, that is what I'm doing. I'll probably, just for fun and for myself, that don't have nothing to do with activism. But I'm probably gonna be in the Alps at the Montreux Jazz Festival this year in Switzerland. That's in June, because I ain't got no kids, bitch. My money is spent on traveling. And so I usually spend my money on traveling. I don't really spend it on like high fashion things. I mean, if you see me wearing something high fashion, it's something I probably got from consignment, or I bought from somebody else. Yeah, I hate paying full price for anything. But my money usually is spent on travel experiences. I've been to so many places, and I want to go to the jazz festival in Switzerland.
Thank you so much, Diamond.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you for having me. I'm
and
honored.
yeah, we'll talk soon, and maybe maybe in Switzerland. I mean, I'm saying.
Come on through.
Y'all, I had a good time. I hope you did too. Thank you so much for listening, and you already know what to do, right? You can find me on the socials. Come join me. Like I said in the last episode, I am, getting active on TikTok. I think it's becoming my platform of choice. I don't know. But join me there, and I'm also on Twitter and on Instagram, kind of in and out, but you can definitely find me on TikTok, and all of it is FTN Pod. So my handle is at FTN Pod everywhere. Also, again, share with your friends. Subscribe. Hey, subscribe. That's also a thing. And like I said, reviews are free. Give your girl a little boost. Yeah. Anyway, thank you, y'all. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you very soon. Have a great day. Bye bye.